Man's relationship with the Supreme Being is a profound and universal aspect of human existence, expressed in supplication, prayer, and other acts of worship. Religious beliefs are deeply personal and varied, shaping individuals' understanding of the world's morality and purpose. The month of Ramadan, the 9th in the Islamic calendar, is a sacred period of fasting, reflection, piety, and spiritual growth for Muslims. And so, on this episode of Frontiers, we shall take a look at the lessons and significance of Ramadan. I am Frama Panyi, and our guest is Professor Khalid Abubakar Aliyu, Secretary General Jama'atul Nasr Islam, JNI, and Imam, National Mosque, Abuja. Glad to have you join us on the program.
Thank you. I'm glad to join you. Thank you.
We will take an excerpt to set the tone for today's discuss.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام.
In the consensus and explanations of Islamic scholars, the glorious Quran and Hadith of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, are sufficient on the obligation of the holy month of Ramadan, which they say entails the deliberate abstinence from sexual desires, eating and drinking from dawn to sunset, with the intention to worship Allah, who has promised a special reward for those who fervently fast in the first, second, and last 10 days of the month. Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic lunar calendar, with a spiritual package and a turning point for mankind, who is expected to maximize the enormous bounties, mercy, and favors of Allah.
أياما معدودات.
Once more, you're welcome on the program, Prof.
Thank you very much.
Now let's get straight into the business of the day and why we have you on the program today. What is the spiritual significance of Ramadan? How does it relate to the Islamic concept of taqwa or piety?
Well, thank you really very much. This important aspect of worship, which forms one of the fundamental cardinal principles of Islam, which is to fast abstinence for 29 or 30 days based on the lunar crescent of the month of Ramadan. Okay. Well, of course, situating it within the what is called taqwa, piety, righteousness, God consciousness. I think piety here seeks to afford the spiritual opportunity of remodeling the self from the past habit that are kind of derailed a little bit of talking too much, eating too much, expending too much unnecessarily, engaging the self into world. You are now being called to reassess yourself, to reassess your spirituality, to reassess your closeness with Allah, the Almighty God, the Creator and the Nourisher and the Sustainer of the world. That is why the verse that came from the Quran, "O you who believe, fast," you have been ordained to fast, as the people who came before you also been ordained to fast, in order that you may learn piety, you may learn righteousness, you may learn the fear of God. You know, man, when he's left just alone, he derails. So there's always a kind of an important station of remodeling the selves, a kind of self-refurbishing, if that is acceptable in the usage of the language. Therefore, the fasting is supposed to push the Muslim to understand God the more, and to understand himself, his limitations, and how he can remodel himself in order to deal with other people with sympathy, empathy, truthfulness, fulfillment of engagements, promises, respecting the family, training the children, being upright in your working place, in your business, in your farm, in whatever you do.
Okay. Now, what are the lessons Muslims can learn from this fasting? I mean, from physical and the emotional challenge that comes with fasting.
Well, physical is for one to really feel the pang of the hunger. And this will show you the way to sympathy to the have-nots, people who have not. You find people who will from morning till evening having nothing to eat. Now this will now move you to now become sympathetic with showing of gift, with support and help. This is physical. And in terms of the medical aspect of it too, eating too much, the gluttony kind of attitude is inimical and dangerous to health. Therefore, in the teachings of the hadith of the Prophet of Islam, peace be upon him, that the feeling of a sack that is more dangerous is the feeling of the sack of the tummy. That if it becomes necessary that you eat, then divide your stomach into three: one for eating, one drinking, one for breathing. Therefore, when you become stuffy by eating and eating, so even medically, it has its own benefits. Now, today, there are a lot of curative steps which you'll be asked to fast in order to regain your health, that taking medicine and so on will not work. This is the physical. This is the physical. And that thirdly, that you have to wake up, because a lot of people give their poor rate, their zakat, almsgiving. That is 2.5% of their own earning if they have certain amount that revolves within the year, and today is pegged to about maybe 12 million and something. Then you are supposed to take out 2.5% and get somebody who is poor and give him in order to support him. This is also part of what this fasting is teaching us from the physical point of view. Then from the emotional or the spiritual point of it is that emotionally you feel closer to God. You feel you are being in an angelic mood. Angels don't eat, don't drink, don't engage in a sexual intercourse and so on and so forth. Therefore, when you fast, you are becoming a little bit angelic, because you see food, you won't take. You see water, you will not take, and so on and so forth. Therefore, it gives you the opportunity really for introspection, for you to really begin. It allows you to have mental alert, to think the way you are supposed to think, and even to begin to reassess this world, its importance and so on and so forth. And it moves you to think that there is a world after this one, which in the end one has to go and give account of his own activities that he has done in this world. Therefore, in the office, he will keep the ethics of the job. He will come in time, and he will not meander. He will do things straight the way they are supposed to be straight, and then one will learn the act of being truthful.
You just spoke about feeling the hunger pang of the have-nots. How does Ramadan emphasize the importance of charity and generosity and compassion in Islam, especially to the have-nots in this period?
Yes, it is indeed really very important. I told you one of the reasons is for those who have to share the pains and the pangs they have not have. Therefore, the Prophet of Islam, peace be upon him, has encouraged that you feed the needy and poor, especially give them food to break their own fast. And that attracts a very big reward. Get them food, get them drinks, and give them for the sake of God, for them in order to break their own fast. Not only that, you call people for breaking the fast, iftar. Friends, neighbors, Muslims, non-Muslims come together, we break the fast together. This is also part of it. We are being taught to learn the act of giving out and feeding.
I just want you to share with us what age is appropriate for a Muslim to begin fasting. At what age can you begin fasting, and who are the people that can be exempted, and what situations can you be exempted from taking part of this fast?
This is really a very important question. Fasting is not obligatory unless somebody attains the age of puberty,
Okay.
maturity. In males and females, at least now from 14, 15, meaning that the male gender has become matured by hoarse voice, by mustache, by beard, or by having to experience becoming a man. You understand? All that takes becoming a man. And today, that youthful stage of 14, 15, in certain societies, there may be some variables that may make it up or a little bit low, but may not be above 17. In some societies, the female gender from 12, 13, 14 also, but depending on the geographical location, where people become mature faster than certain communities. Very cold areas are different from very hot areas. So the attainment, when the female gender began experiencing menses, then that is when it becomes obligatory for her to start the fasting.
Mm-hmm.
That is it. People exempted are the sick persons,
Okay.
those with permanent ailment that is incurable stage of diabetes, somebody who cannot really live without food, or somebody with an ailment that cannot stay more than 2 hours without taking drugs and so on. These are exempted, but they are supposed to pay ransom.
Okay.
Every day that they cannot fast, they pay by feeding a poor person.
Okay.
Yes, a feeding of a day to a family. There is a measure that is called the measure of the Prophet. You fill it with rice and you give it to somebody. If you cook it and cook it and then have soup accompanied to that, you are getting more reward if you do it. So whoever is matured, either male or female, but cannot fast due to certain things, then they can pay that. But for female gender, when they start fasting and then menstruation comes,
Okay.
they stop that period. Maybe she has her menses 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. She stops, she continues to eat until she becomes clean. Then after Ramadan, she repairs.
Okay.
Yes.
How about pregnant women?
Yes. Breastfeeding mothers and pregnant women, as long as the pregnancy or the breastfeeding become a kind of dangerous to their own health,
Okay.
or will a kind of cause certain medical conditions that will injure their own health, are exempted.
Okay.
So in lieu of fasting every day, they give a feeding of one measure instead of that.
Okay. Now, what role does zakat, the obligatory charity, play during Ramadan?
Well, thank you. A lot of people give their zakat. Zakat is what I just explained, that there is a poor due in the earning of every Muslim who has within their gotten to about 12 point something million naira, which is kept for that period. He gives out 2.5%. If it is 10 million, you are taking 25,000 naira to now take it for the sake of God, get a poor family and give them, and let anybody know.
Okay.
Yes, you give him, take it. Sometimes you don't want him to know who you are. Just give him for you and your family. Hey, thank you. Said yes. You don't need to thank me. Just take it. So if you have some hundreds of millions, so you could see that if you have 100 million, you are removing or you are giving out 2.5 million. So you can help support families. You can help defray the cost of hospital bills for the common men who will not be able to do that. You can help settle school fees for the poor, indigent people in the society.
All right. Prof, let's pause here and take a short break.
Thank you.
You're watching Frontiers, and the focus is Ramadan its lessons and significance. The conversation continues shortly. Welcome back. Now, before we went on that break, we were talking about the importance of zakat and charity during Ramadan. Now, let's look at the strategies Muslims can employ or, to help them, sustain them through the spiritual momentum.
There are a lot of them. Fasting from the appearance of the early morning at about maybe 5:15. That is the appearance of the morning within the system of Islam until the sun sets. So this one throughout, no eating, no drinking, no personal contact with the spouse until you break the fast. This is one. Two, one is being introduced to rendition of recitation of the glorious Quran as much as he can. He must read, and he should read in a meticulous way, in a melodious way that will afford him the opportunity to understand the lessons of nations that came before us. Those that obeyed God, how were they rewarded? Those that were recalcitrant, how were they dealt with, and so on and so forth. And one situates himself. And there are a lot of families of Imran, families of Abraham, families of Moses, families, how they really took their lives. When you look at the mother of Isa, of Jesus, Maryam, a whole chapter dedicated to her, you could see how she was so devoted to God and how she kept a solitary life in only being within the vicinity of the mosque, cleaning it, preparing it for worshippers and so on, until the angel Gabriel came to her. This will really give you a lesson on how the miraculous birth of Jesus came to be and how he grew up and so on. You see also Moses versus Pharaoh. You see Abraham versus Namrud and so on and so forth. And you are being called to high level of morality, of having to be a strong person in truth, in discharge of trust, in keeping a family, in training the self, in being equipped with education, and being up and doing. All these are some of the things. This is another one. In the night, you are supposed to keep the Salatul Taraweeh. Salatul Taraweeh, you go and perform about 10 rak'ats, the special prayer in the night. Well, from maybe 8 o'clock to until about 9:30 to 10 o'clock. And in the last 10 days, it is a night vigil itself. From some mosques, 1:30 until about 4 a.m. Some from 1 until about 3:30, all keeping to prayers, crying, shedding tears, begging God that forgive my past and give me the opportunity to be a better person.
Now, during this Ramadan period, during the iftar, you say there's a sense of unity between the community. Now, how can this be maintained throughout, even after the Ramadan?
Well, it is indeed really very important, because all the lessons we have learned are not supposed to be stopped in Ramadan. They are supposed to kind of push us until the next 11 months before the coming of Ramadan. See how many families you feed after Ramadan. See how many families you support. See how many friends you call for dinner or for breakfast or for lunch. These are lessons that we are supposed to continue putting into practice even after Ramadan.
Okay. Now, what are some of these opportunities that Ramadan provides for Muslims to strengthen relationships with family, friends, neighbors, and community generally?
Well, it affords us the opportunity for Muslims, for instance, because the preparation for the iftar is very heavy. The husband is called to support the wife.
Okay.
If he can, of course, yes. What can I help you with in the kitchen? Do this, do that, and so on. Despite having supplied all that is needed, but he is asked to control himself. You know, they said a hungry man is an angry man. So, not be calm, be gentle, and support her. This is being taught also. And the man is being also taught, or the head of the family, to become gentle, not to ensue into squabbles, into necessary arguments, into a kind of painful attitude of the head of the family. Because Ramadan is trying to teach you, while you are hungry, you subdue that, as you subdue the hunger, okay, subdue also the anger.
Okay.
So this should put you in the office, also in the community, in wherever you work.
Okay. How can Muslims use Ramadan as a catalyst for positive change or influence generally?
Well, of course, as I told you, Ramadan is a spiritual situation which affords you the opportunity for self-renewal, self-remodeling. You are supposed to remodel yourself. If you are quickly angered, you are being taught to really take in the lesson that fasting is half of patience. You are supposed to learn this so that people will see improvement in you. While after fasting, after Salah, happy this and so on. So you should be seen to be a changed person. So it is supposed to be an institution that changes you socially, religiously, medically, and economically.
Okay. Now, what lessons can Muslims learn, in this Ramadan period about living in a multicultural society and a globalized world?
This is indeed really very important because Muslims are being called to give out, to dash out, to feed. And it doesn't matter whether the person is a Muslim or not. You have the opportunity to give him. So this improves the social relation in the community and the society. And I think this is what is needed in our country, a multi-religious society, a multicultural society where people are brought up together, go to school together, and work together in a multicultural, multi-religious society. It improves the well-being of understanding of the citizenry.
Mr. Khalid, thank you so much for coming on the program. It's been an absolute pleasure having you coming to teach us and tell us about the significance of Ramadan.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much. Here's wishing the Muslim community the world over a very memorable Eid al-Fitr. I am Frama Pani. Bye for now.